Alright guys, it is I, Blood Moon Bobby, here with a Nintendo Switch video, as you can see. So this week, I'm not going to have too much time to make videos. I figured this week, I'm going to be getting into just my quick thoughts on some news stories towards the end of this video. But starting right now, I wanted to get into 5 games that I recommend you guys get for the Nintendo Switch. Now, this isn't a top 5 list since there are some of the games on here, or at least one of them, I still have to play a good amount of one of the games you're seeing in order to, if I were to make a legit top 5 list. But this is 5 games I recommend on the Switch that I've been playing. So it's just purely for fun. This is me just going off my experiences with these games, and if you're looking to get some games with either the Switch you just bought, or if you're planning on getting a Switch for Christmas, maybe you'll want to pick up 1 or 2 or all 5 if you have the dough to drop for these games. Which, by the way, I've noticed that I've seen the Switch has been in stock more often at the Targets I've been to. So I'm not sponsored by Target. I'm just saying that I'm seeing Switches in more places. I've even seen it, like, I think I've even seen in some at my local Walmart. So if you're running out of hope that you can get a Switch, I think Nintendo has now gotten enough stock to get through at least a good portion of the holidays. I mean, Black Friday, I'm just assuming as soon as you thought, oh, I'll get a Switch for Black Friday, it was already sold out. Well, now you can get it in time for Christmas. Because Christmas is, well, shit, I was being not so PC. But, hey, it's the holidays that matter, not Black Friday. There. So, all those people that are gonna tell me there are more holidays than Christmas, and I mean, yes, there are obviously more holidays than Christmas, but just keep in mind, I'm not an ignorant person, unlike some people. So, yeah, so let's get into that. I'm gonna have footage from the games. I can't get footage from one of the games and playing as I'm talking. I mean, obviously, I'm not going to have time to, start up each one and give you a brief demonstration. If you want to see me actually play it as I'm talking, I have a video I did recommending the Switch as a Black Friday present, so you can check that one out. I don't have, in that one, I only go over a few games in that one, and so here I'm going to get into a little more detail into the 5 that I'm going to recommend. So, in no particular order, let's do this. So, I think I'll start off with the one I was actually playing. I might even play a little bit for you just because I really like this game, is Doom on the Switch. Now, I know there's going to be all the PS4 and Xbox One people, not all you guys, but the fanboys that are going to say, oh, Doom on the Switch is 720p, 30 frames per second, and no snap map. But take a look for a second. I mean, put all that aside, and let's say you're a person that can only get a Switch. Like, if you could only pick, I mean, look at how smooth this game runs. I know, yes, I've watched gameplay of Doom at 60 frames per second, and it does not compare to this. Like, no way in hell. But seriously, if somebody told you this was a 30 frames per second game, would you believe them off the bat? I mean, this looks really, really smooth for a 30 frames per second. And it still plays really well. It's still, Doom. You're just playing it on a hybrid console. So yeah. I understand not everybody who would prefer a better looking game is a PC elitist or a graphics whore. But I'm just saying, for either those that are very skeptical of this version, or if you're even considering it, I still highly recommend Doom on the Switch. It's a game I really recommend, and it's easily become one of my favorite games to play on Switch. I often find myself playing the arcade mode quite a bit. I do want to say, for people that are new to first-person shooters, Doom isn't exactly the easiest to play off the bat. And you just have to give it a lot of patience, and I'll give you a couple tips. You press the L button to throw a grenade, and also you hold down the R button to switch your guns, and also if you see any red canisters around, take advantage of them. They're explosives. They can kill a whole bunch of demons in the area when you blow them up. So that's Doom on the Switch. Obviously not the best looking or even best performing version, but for the one that isn't exactly the highest recommended version of Doom, it still plays really phenomenally. Next game is one that I've easily played the most. I think I've even put in over 150 hours into this game. Is Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, which I'll have footage. And by the way, speaking of footage, Doom is the only game on here that I'm not able to get any footage off of using the Nintendo Switch capture button. So that's why I wanted to show you some gameplay. So Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, it's pretty much Mario Kart 8, except now you can take it on the go. Really, really fun game. It looks really nice. It plays at 1080p, 60 frames per second when docked, and 720p when you're playing portably. But even then, it runs buttery smooth. I would even say out of the 5 games here, it runs the smoothest. It's really fun. You play as various characters like Mario, Bowser, Toad, even guys like Link, the Villager, and the Inkling kids from Splatoon. You play in all these courses that go upside down, right side up. It's got the Grand Prix mode, a versus mode. It's got the battle modes with the balloon and battle, and it's also got, I often find myself playing Mario Kart 8 Deluxe online quite a bit. Like, it's funny, it's like how with a lot of people, their online game of choice is Call of Duty. In my case, it's Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, mainly because it's a lot of fun. I don't even always get third place, but it's still a ton of fun to play. Like certain games, when you go online, you get a lot of filthy people that say they banged your mom last night. So that's Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Highly, highly recommend. And it, I think this is even a game I would say that pretty much any gamer of any experience would like to play. Like I'm hardcore gamers can get into it, and even super casual people that just want a quick pick up and play game. Give a Mario Kart 8 Deluxe for holidays, regardless of what celebration you celebrate. So, yeah. Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. This is the one that this is the game that this is the game that's why, or the game that's, if I can talk today, this is why I didn't want to make this a top 5 list. I've been playing like 10 hours of Skyrim. It's definitely a game that lets you go pretty much anywhere you want. I would say even more than Zelda Breath of the Wild, which I'll get into in a second. But it's definitely a open world RPG. You can take on a whole bunch of tasks and do them in any order. And so far, the Switch version, it runs pretty well. A couple of frame rate hiccups. One thing I don't like about, I don't know if this applies to the other versions of Skyrim, but one thing I really don't like is it's really hard to tell if you can climb certain mountains in the game. Like, you'll be like moving around, and then jumping to see where you can climb, and that's really weird. But overall, runs pretty good. Looks pretty good on Switch. I would say it's at least on par with. I've heard people say that it has some visual elements from the remastered Skyrim on PS4 and Xbox One, and then some from the original version, which was on the PS3 and 360. And then for those that don't know, in Skyrim you can go around, and as you're journeying around, you go around slashing creatures and people that don't like you with a sword, or you shoot them with an arrow, or you can pick up on magic. So this is definitely, I think I would have to play a ton more Skyrim to really be sure, but I really think this is a game, the fact that I'm 10 hours in and I'm still kind of scratching my head, it could be a testament, because I do like this game so far, but I feel like I really have to dig in deep to really get an idea of why people like this game so much. I mean, I have friends that are like 20 to 70 hours in, and they said they've just scratched the surface. I believe Steven said he's 70 hours into the PC version of Skyrim, and he said he just scratched the surface. And I even heard on IGN that even when you get to 100 hours, you're just getting started. So yeah, so I'm pretty excited to see where Skyrim goes. And so yeah. Next game, Zelda Breath of the Wild. Easily one of my... I think this is easily one of the most approachable Zeldas. Because kind of like Skyrim, you do have a set mission in terms of you have to defeat Ganondorf. But getting there is pretty much up to you. Like, you're the one... You can decide what kind of temples to go to, what puzzles to complete. The order of even the boss battles with the... God, what are those 4 guys called? And the name's not coming to me right now, but you basically have to defeat these 4. God, I'm really trying as hard as I can to remember the names, but yeah, these 4 characters, and then you can take on Ganon. And the thing is, when you defeat these 4, they'll help you out. So. Divine Beasts. Yes, these Divine Beasts are kind of like giant statues, and you have to fight these boss battles in the Divine Beasts, and then they'll help you. So, yeah, so Zelda Breath of the Wild. I also really like... I know some people hate this aspect, and I think this is one of the things why people got under... Jim Sterling's case when he reviewed this game, which, by the way, shame on those guys who DDoS'd him. I mean, I like Breath of the Wild more than he does, but he does not deserve to get trolled. So, in Breath of the Wild, you also have to do things like make your own meals to gain health and to gain power-ups. And I even like the idea of your weapon breaks and you have to go around and pick new ones up. I mean... The thing about that is, you don't have to get new weapons so often where it's like every battle your weapon breaks. You're going to come across new, more powerful, stronger, although sometimes stronger may mean it's harder to carry weapons. You come across them often enough that you can carry several weapons at a time, so don't worry about that. Breath of the Wild is definitely one of the more hardcore Nintendo published titles, so it's not exactly for beginners. I've actually been having my sister help me out, but I was able to get through a large part of this game because you can go about your mission how you want to. So that's Zelda Breath of the Wild. I wouldn't give it a 10 out of 10 like IGN is because of the... there are times in the game where the frame rate dips down a bit, but it is definitely a really great game, and what a fantastic launch title. But I think I would have preferred at launch Super Mario Odyssey, which I would go as far as to say this has become my absolute favorite game on the Switch so far. It's almost like a Mario version of Breath of the Wild in terms of you can go around this world. In this game, it's not that it's easy, but it's a more approachable idea that you have to go around and find these different colored moons. And the thing about them is, it's kind of like a scavenger hunt. The moons you don't need to find all the moons to progress to the final stage with Bowser. But I will say, because you don't have to get all the moons to find Bowser, you just have to get enough. But what really makes Mario Odyssey fun is the search to find all those extra moons, and that's what gives this game replay value. Aside from that, Mario possesses. He possesses enemies in this game. I don't care what Nintendo says, I'm just thinking they're also the same company that created a character that sucks enemies and takes their powers. Kirby. I mean, let's face it, you're Mario throwing a cap. The cap puts Mario in the body of these enemies, and you can make them go walking around and do whatever you want, and you make them fall in love. I won't get into detail about what I mean by that, but something along those lines. So it's a really fun scavenger hunt, I would say, and set in these really big worlds. I mean, like I said, it's basically like a Mario version of Breath of the Wild in that aspect. But I guess you can liken it to something like Super Mario 64, where you go to these different lands and, you know, they're really vast. You can go running around. There's technically no, like, flagpole that you have to bring down like in the classic Mario games. Instead, you're basically going to wherever you can to find these moons. And like Super Mario 64, or the many kingdoms in this game have multiple moons, so you're going to want to come back to find them. And I assume that after I take on the final stage, which I'm currently on, I'm going to be running back to find all the moons. So that's pretty much it. Those are my 5 Switch games I recommend. No, I want to play Doom later. In no particular order, so overall, if you want more of my thoughts on the Switch, I'll link my video talking about how the Switch is a great Black Friday present. Obviously, the Switch isn't perfect. I really wish Nintendo would come out like with a 128GB version of the Switch. And the thing about it too is that if Nintendo follows Apple's mentality, they could easily release like a Switch with 128GB of storage for $400. It would put it the same price as something like the, well, now they're heavily discounted, but something like the PS4 Pro, you know. Which I know some people say, oh, PS4 Pro is more powerful, wouldn't you want to spend the money on that? And I'm just thinking, well, the Switch, you can get some of the games. You're starting to, they came out with Doom, there's Skyrim, Wolfenstein 2 is coming out. EA is rumored to be announcing more games coming to the Switch. You may be getting the Dark Souls trilogy. So I think there's hope. And honestly, or even though I don't think this is enough storage, this could work too. If they put out like a Switch for $349 and it had 64GB of storage, that would be nice also. Other things, occasionally, although this doesn't happen to me too often, is that sometimes when you're playing with the Joy-Cons, especially when you get that screen that tells you, oh, what controller are you using? Sometimes the Joy-Cons don't respond, but the way I deal with that is usually when I press these buttons here, I'll turn them off, turn them on, and it's making me look like an idiot. So you can either press these, well, you have to press these to turn them off, but to turn them back on, you can press any of the buttons. But again, that doesn't usually happen to the Switch. So, obviously, I would have liked Nintendo to make the Switch a teensy bit more powerful to really ensure it gets third-party support. And because keep in mind, like, I'm not just saying, you know, oh, I want more third parties to support to get more Switch customers. There's plenty of games out there that I want to play myself, like, you know, for instance, Dynasty Warriors games. I've also been considering Battlefield only because it looks more cooler than Call of Duty. And yeah, it just really pains me. I know people say, oh, the Dynasty Warriors games are so repetitive, but let me put it to you this way. Fire Emblem Warriors stinks. Samurai Warriors 3 for the Wii was much superior. So I would really like to see Koei Tecmo bring like Dynasty Warriors 9 or the next Dead or Alive to Switch, or even like Capcom bringing Resident Evil 7. Like I have cousins that are big Resident Evil fans, and it would be so nice if they could bring, well, Capcom, not my cousins obviously, but you know, if Capcom brought Resident Evil 7 to the Switch, that would be really cool. And like I said, since the Switch has 1 teraflop of performance and the Xbox One has 1.2 teraflops, as long as Microsoft keeps that policy of every one of their Xbox One games has to be made for the original Xbox One and the Xbox One X, I think we could see more third-party support come to Switch. Maybe not all the games, but a good amount. And I had to restart again. I've been going for so long. So, yeah, those are my top 5 recommended games for the Switch. Before I go, I'd just like to give you some of my thoughts on some recent news this week. The net neutrality protests. I've already made a video about my thoughts on net neutrality. I generally support the protests, just don't make any threats to Occupy or to anybody that's against net neutrality. Educate them, don't attack them. Disney might buy 21st Century Fox's film divisions. And I honestly think people shouldn't be too worried about this. I mean, I feel like Disney's doing this more to get the rights to the X-Men franchise and Deadpool, and to acquire a much more reputable brand to release their adult-oriented films. Because right now Disney has Touchstone Pictures, but if they had the branding of 20th Century Fox, I think it would be seen as a much more legitimate brand to a lot more people. My main concern with this purchase, and even then I don't think that Disney is going to do this, is if they do something where they only use the 20th Century Fox brand to release like R-rated Marvel movies, and if they got rid of Fox Searchlight Pictures, which is the brand that movies like Slumdog Millionaire, Black Swan, Birdman, and Three Billboards was released under, then that would be really stupid. But I think rationally, I don't think we have too much to worry about with Disney might be buying 21st Century Fox. Microtransactions in Star Wars Battlefront 2. EA, stop trying to gouge money out of your consumers by making them buy things so they could basically gamble their money on. Enough said. Because I mainly game on Nintendo consoles. I do see microtransactions once in a while in like free-to-play games on my phone, but I just don't buy them, and I wish the game developers found another way to make a lot of money. Sony is taking the Nintendo Switch seriously. Not too sure what to make of this news, aside from it's kind of expected for Sony to see the Switch as competition to especially the base PS4. I'm really not sure if Sony's going to make like a PS Vita 2, especially given that the original PS Vita sold miserably. But I'm honest, I don't know. I mean, I think it would be at least kind of neat to see like a Nintendo Switch looking device that had like the original PS4's guts, and it had the PlayStation Move controllers attached to it. But that's just me being imaginative, so I don't know. Google taking YouTube off of Amazon devices, which I really don't like that idea, especially since YouTube is a service that's viewed by a lot of people, and in my case I honestly use YouTube more than streaming services, so I think that's really dumb. Ryan Reynolds playing Detective Pikachu. Now when I first heard that news, I was just like, what? Like Deadpool playing Pikachu? But then I thought about it more. I thought about the way Reynolds acts as Deadpool, where he tends to be very smooth at times, kind of a fast-talking guy. I was thinking, is that the approach they're taking with Detective Pikachu? If that's the case, then I think it could work. I mean, I like Ryan Reynolds in Deadpool, so I think he's a good actor. I'm not in that state where it's like when they announced Gal Gadot was going to be Wonder Woman, and the whole internet was like, what the fuck? And then Gal Gadot turned out to be okay as Wonder Woman. I honestly have more faith in an actor like Ryan Reynolds, so I'd like to see him play Detective Pikachu. Obviously, they're not going to have Pikachu be a total cokehead and make dick jokes, so...
Alright, so this has been Blood Moon Bobby, and thanks for watching.
Hey guys, this has been a Blood Moon Bobby video. Please like this video or dislike it, and please subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.